Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. It's already here again. Not only baseball season, but Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast is back and in your ears, starting our 4th season. And we're really excited because this is our 100th episode.
Unbelievable. Cannot believe that we have been doing this. 100 episodes.
100 episodes now. It's crazy. Well, I've done it more episodes than you have, but I've missed what, 1 or 2? So
Yeah.
I've probably done 98. You've done like 60. So we're happy to be back and sharing baseball with you. Opening day, always the best day of the year. Should be a holiday.
Yeah, it should be a national holiday. Definitely. We need all the baseball we can get. And I have been waiting since the last pitch of the World Series for baseball to start. In fact, the other day I was like, who won the World Series? Like, I just totally erased it and I'm ready for a new season.
Like, I don't know. Team that probably shouldn't even be in the league. Probably won. And I was reading something recently that while that team is picked by many experts to return, I was surprised today to see that the MLB experts did not pick them to win it.
Oh, interesting.
They picked a little team from south of me to win it all.
Well, I know we will be talking about them and the other and a lot more on this season of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
So how did you spend your off season?
I spent it yammering. That's the word. Yammering for baseball. I wore my baseball withdrawals is real sweatshirt a lot because I felt it. And I read a really awesome book.
Was that a World Baseball Classic? You say Israel?
No.
Baseball withdrawal Israel?
Israel.
Is that
Israel.
Israel? Is
Israel.
Is that an experience there?
Yeah.
You go to
a museum of baseball
you go back
withdrawal.
to Bible times and you see all of the stuff that happened, all that part of the history. You go to Jerusalem and Bethlehem and all of those.
Leading up
you go to the baseball Israel.
No. Israel.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. That little country over there.
No, I read Book of Joe. Very good.
See, it fits right in.
Yes, that is. Yes, we got a theme going.
You read the whole thing?
Yeah, I have. Actually, I am almost done. According to my Kindle, I am like 93% done. And but it has been really good.
At that. I'll show you here on the camera. That's how much I have left.
Yeah, I think we're about the same.
314 pages. I'm at 314, and I think I saw this about 365. So
yeah, we're probably at the same thing. Yeah, same place.
Anyway.
Yeah, just getting ready for the podcast, enjoying the holidays, talking to you. Just having baseball withdrawals in Israel.
Right. And we're hoping if we can, we're going to start a Twitter campaign. So if you follow us on Twitter, maybe you can join in. We're going to start sending a lot of messages to @MaddHalos, MaddHalos, and see if we can get him. And I plan on using bits and pieces of the book to throw at him and see if that gets him to want to come on to the show. We're visualizing you being on the podcast,
Yes.
visualizing our success at luring you onto the podcast, Joe Madden.
Exactly.
Great book so far. I'm pretty sure it's, maybe, of course, the last 40 pages or so might just absolutely suck. So, because, well, Tom Verducci's in there too. He's writing part of it as well. And, and they couldn't just put Joe Madden, 3-time manager of the year, but Tom Verducci, 3-time national sports writer of the year.
Equal billing.
Yeah, I know, but anyway.
Still very good, enjoyable.
And then we'll have to tell you about the other book that my follow-up to Joe, which actually, oddly enough, is another Joe.
Yes.
So while we continue to constantly watch baseball through the off season, there are a bunch of things that happened. I will say that none of them will, just to foreshadow here, none of them were as crazy as maybe we expected. And probably the stuff that we thought that was going to happen hot stove wise is probably going to take place this coming off season, not the last off season. And the person that's going to cause all that is somebody we'll talk about often during this season, I'm sure. So let's get everything started up and off. Once again, welcome back to Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. We're happy you're here, and we can't wait to spend the season with you. And as always, you can find us on our social media pages at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A, and that's Twitter.
And at Sibling Rivalry BB on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, so today's the opening day. And we've seen some of these things happen. Now, obviously, one thing we didn't mention in the opening that we both got to see and was pretty exciting. For me, I saw bits and pieces, but it was the World Baseball Classic. I got to thinking about it a little bit because we saw the biggest thing that's going to affect this season is not where players went necessarily, but the rules that are going to be in place. And it made me think of this. So during spring training, we saw all these rules being applied, these new rules and everything. But then many players throughout Major League Baseball went to play in the World Baseball Classic, where there were none of these new rules. And they spent the bulk of their time with the WBC, not with their teams playing under pitch clocks and bigger bases and strikeouts if you're not in the box at 8 seconds and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how those players are. Those players going to be behind in figuring out these rules? Or does it matter?
It'll be interesting to watch those players, but I think it's interesting too that the World Baseball Classic had none of these restrictions and was still exciting. And the players loved it, right? The atmosphere, the excitement among the players in the dugout. And we didn't have any of these rules.
No.
Now we got to start with the rules.
And the games went at a reasonable pace. I mean, they weren't short. They were pretty common to what we've seen. But at no point did I ever go, wow, this is a... But, of course, I never thought that. This is a really long game. Oh, my God.
I can't make it through. See, that's the problem I have with these rules that were proposed by the Joint Competition Committee, which is interesting because there's 4 active players, 6 members that are appointed by MLB, 1 umpire. Of the 3 rules, only one of the rules, the bigger bases, all 4 players voted for that. they all rejected the shifts and the pitch timer.
Right. So it's going to be the shift stuff. I've already seen teams try to work around it, like moving the left fielder over into shallow right center, kind of where the third baseman went. So they beat it right there.
Yeah.
You're those players that you shift that hard for are now you're daring them to go the opposite way. If you move the outfielder.
Yeah.
So there's a ways around that. Or I heard an interesting one day about why not do like in football, they put a player in motion. So you start the third baseman running towards, and he doesn't cross over. Just like in football, you can't turn to go upfield until after the ball snapped. Same kind of thing. He can't pass second base until after the ball is pitched.
Okay.
Something like that. I mean, there was options, but as long as you're in the right place, and if you're not on the, as long as you're on the dirt and on either side of the bag, the minute the ball is pitched, you can back up onto the grass. You could like shift over. There's ways around it. Will they? Don't know. They'll probably play with it for a while and just see what happens until all of the analysts and the analytics guys get in there and start figuring out that this isn't working out well for us and trying to find ways around it all.
Right. And they'll have some kind of computer program, some kind of animation. They'll use Chat GP to
GT, whatever. I don't
know. To do something with. I don't know what they would do. But yeah, the whole thing also is Manfred said, we did research with our fans. They didn't ask us research questions. Did you get asked questions?
Not about that.
No. So who are the fans?
Even if they did, the questions would have been more like, do you think games are too long? Or something like that. And it's like,
right.
Who are you asking? Are you asking the diehards? Because you know what they're going to say. No.
Yeah.
What is this like politics? They say a certain percentage is one party, a certain percentage is the other party. So you fight for the middle. They didn't go to the middle to people who are even, they went to one side. Just like, you know what? The true baseball fans are always going to be there. We don't need to ask them anything. All these people over here who don't care about baseball, that's who we want to attract. And then the people in the middle who are kind of like, sometimes they're okay with it, sometimes they're not, those are the people that you should be asking. That's where they missed it. They're constantly missing. The bottom line is they don't care what real baseball fans want. They just want to make more money.
Oh yeah. That's always money is always the shining, star for everyone.
The driving factor.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
So why don't we take a look at what some of these rule changes are, and then we'll get to other stuff. We'll talk a little bit too about maybe some of the trades and the signings, and then we'll talk about the Angels, the Dodgers, and some of around baseball. Here on the season 4 inaugural episode and the 100th episode, Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. So let's start. Go ahead and give me one of the rules that we know the bigger bases. I think that's an easy one. We don't need to really.
Yeah, that's not easy. And all 4, like I said, players are on this committee voted for that. I did think it's funny. There's an article in The Athletic. Ricky Henderson said if he had bigger bases, he would have stolen, 70 bases or like whatever he had stolen, bases he stole in the season, add 60 to 70 on to that number with the bigger bases.
The all-time leader, he'd had like 50,000 stolen bases
in one season.
The only one honestly, and normally I wouldn't care, but only Jose Altuve, I'm worried for him because I don't know that they're going to realize he's on base.
Yeah, that'll be a problem. And he might have to have some kind of like reflective tape, some kind of vest,
Some kind of a loudspeaker or something. Because
yeah, a
imagine if
whistle.
the first baseman steps back and steps on the base for some reason, he's done.
That's it.
He's a goner.
Yeah. So he's going to need some kind of, like I said, whistle, horn, reflective tape definitely needs to be bright yellow, something to see him.
Disco lights.
Exactly. All right. Let's talk about the pitch clock. This one has been, this one has been interesting because we've seen in spring training, the guys that played in the minor leagues, they're used to it. This has been going on for a while in the minors. In fact, one guy I think was able to pitch faster through 3 batters than Pedro Baez pitched against 1 batter.
Yeah, it just, that's part of it. And like we were talking about the asterisks there a little bit, not so much as a team, but Luis Garcia, who did the whole, I thought he was doing dance steps or whatever, the rockabye baby thing that he did. They had to cut that out because it took up too much time.
Well, I wonder, I haven't seen him pitch this spring, but, one that always bugs me because it looks like he's, got to go to the bathroom is Mike Clevenger. His little steps, how many seconds does that take off the clock, or how does that work? So,
well, anybody that has like that buildup,
yeah,
before they get there, that fidgeting or whatever, that's going to be an issue. And yeah, he's another one who's got that.
Yeah, he's just one that, stands out. Even I didn't notice it. I've seen Tyler Anderson pitch, but he has kind of that little leg, like the hiccup. But I don't think it hasn't affected him at all.
I think he's fine, as long as he's not trying to. But is it till you throw the ball or till you start your windup? If you're in your windup and the 20 seconds expires, is that automatically a ball?
Yeah. See.
Or the 15 seconds if nobody's on?
Right. Yeah, it just says that. So the time between batters is 30 seconds. The catcher must be in the catcher's box at 10 seconds. However, the catcher does not have to be. The catcher can be in the box. He can be standing. He doesn't have to be crouched down. He doesn't have to be in position. And then the batter must be in the box and ready for the pitch at 8 seconds. And then, like you mentioned, 15 seconds if the bases are empty, 20 seconds if the runners are on base. And it does say the clock. The clock stops when the pitcher begins motion to deliver the pitch. So if that's part of Clevenger's thing, then he's getting ready to deliver the pitch, then it should be okay, I would guess.
I would have thought that then what's his name, Garcia, should be able to do his whole thing, but they took that away. And I did see him one time. He looked fine. It's like, why do you do all that other stuff?
Yeah,
I don't need to.
He didn't need to do it, but.
And then kind of connected to that is, and there's a lot of talk about this, and we'll kind of expound upon that in a second. But as far as the rule goes, the pitcher can only throw over 3 times, or step or disengage, whether he throws over or not. But if he does throw over on the 3rd time, if he doesn't pick off the runner gets second base.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, so the penalties, if the club on the offensive side violates the pitch timer rules, they weren't in the box. The hitter wasn't in the box. We saw Manny Machado, I think, first game of spring training. This happened. He got automatic strike, as called. If the club on the defense violates, then it's an automatic ball.
Right. Except for that one thing where they move to second base or they move on.
Right.
And then the batter only gets one
timeout.
timeout.
Yeah. So that's another thing, because you'll have guys that, they had the whole routine and getting in the batter's box, stepping out. How's that going to affect the game? Will it affect those players that had that routine? Did it help them hit better? I don't know.
I think Joey Votto set the standard early. He got in the box, and he never got out of his stance.
Yeah, he never.
He swung. He might have taken a second to reset, but the bat's up long before the 8 seconds, and he doesn't even hardly look around. He's watching. He keeps his eye on the pitcher, and he's just in there. He's ready to go. He's ready to hit.
He is engaged with the pitcher, as it says. You have to be ready, and he is ready.
So, when I watched a little bit of the Freeway series, it didn't really seem like it was that big of a deal the way it was going. But I didn't pay that much of attention to the thing as a whole. I was just overall just kind of watching, and it'll probably be like some of these other rules that they've slid in here, where at some point you just go, all right, I know this is what it is. It's not that I like it. I'm just used to it.
Yeah, I think that's true. I've been to a lot of minor league games, and the clock is out there and you can see it, but after a while it just kind of blends in and you don't even notice it anymore. Which is another thing on the broadcast. They're trying to figure out, where do we put the clock? And to me, I'm like, I don't even want to see it. I don't care.
Right, but if they put it up there, then that way, if it goes out, it's easier for it to go back and people to say they messed up on that one. They let him have more seconds, whatever. Just all right. So the pitch clock is going to be the big thing that we're going to see. Now, I'm trying to remember who it was, but they were talking about how it's probably going to cause some other issues. Batter gets to first base, walked or whatever. What happens? He pulls off his batting gloves, his shin guard, his nose guard, his whatever guard, and that takes some time. And then they come over and he goes like those oven mitts that they wear.
Right.
They're usually Velcro, so you got to unvelcro them. We got to find other ways to do this. Well, how does that play into it?
So this is interesting, because I read this and I think this is like overreach of MLB with these rules. Yeah, they've been in the minor leagues. Okay. But this is, I feel like, a total overreach. Get this. Bat boys and bat girls, they will have new standards. They're going to be looking at their ability to retrieve equipment. How quick are they? And if an MLB is going to evaluate the performance of these bat boys and these bat girls, and if they feel that they're too slow, they could ask the team to replace them if their performance is substandard.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Do they even get paid?
I don't think so.
I don't think they do.
No.
Maybe they get some swag, but I don't think they get paid.
You get to hang out in the dugout, be part of the whole thing. But I'm like, really? The MLB is going to have, you have the authenticator, the guy who authenticates. Now the person sitting next to them is going to be, have with a stopwatch. How fast was that? And taking times.
Quality control.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And then, of course, what else was there before we get to replay?
The shift.
Oh, right, the shift.
Yeah.
Which we kind of talked about. So the infielders have to be 2 on either side of second base. They cannot be on the grass. They have to be feet fully in on the dirt. When I heard one day MLB radio talking to Carlos Correa, we'll talk about a little bit here in a second as well. but him saying, he's like, what do you feel about that? He's like, well, I never really was moving over there as the shortstop. I pretty much always stayed in there. He goes, what's going to kill me with all of this is not being able to back up onto the grass and get some better angles and I'm sure he's not alone in that a lot of the especially the shortstops, liking to play dirt, back like that, second baseman do that. So not being able to be on the grass, even just a little bit we'll see what kind of effects we have. And of course, it all matters. So will batting averages go up? They seem to have gone up a little bit during spring training. Will that hold on though? I don't think that spring training is a good place to see and say, yeah, that's probably a good indicator, because you got sometimes, players that are A players, single A guys that are least experienced. They're not veterans and know how to get to things quickly and do that. They're not seasoned. That doesn't mean that that's not, it may be an indicator, but until we actually see it, we don't know. And, the constant every day. So that'll be, will it matter? Will players, especially left-handers, will they end up getting more hits that wouldn't have been hits before? Will they continue to hit into, they hit it to the second baseman now, since there's nobody in the middle as a shift? The third baseman's not over there. What are they going to do? So we'll see if that has an effect. Will it help? Will it help Cody in Chicago?
I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? And the one thing about the shift is, and you mentioned the replay, we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit, this is something that you cannot challenge. You can't challenge the shift. You can't say, that little, like the back of his cleat, like a blade of grass is touching it, that kind of thing. So they're not going to be able to, because could you imagine they want to shorten the game and then they're going to be able to challenge how, the shift.
Shortening the game. I was amazed at the first game of the Freeway Series. I knew from the beginning of spring training, they're like, wow, this game was only 2 hours and 30 minutes. The first game of the Freeway Series, 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Yeah, it was quick.
And I knew what time it was coming on, but before I got a chance to go look and see anything, it was over.
Yeah, that was, I think, the second game for me. I was doing some stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I got some time. And it's the fourth inning. I'm like, I thought it just started, like it hasn't been going on that long.
The first game started like 6:10. And was over a little after 8. I'm like, what do you mean it's already over?
Yeah.
And that prompted Clayton Kershaw to ask, is it too fast? Because it costs a lot of money to take the family, even one ticket, depending on where you're sitting. It costs money to go. And like places like Dodger Stadium, the Dodgers don't control the parking. Ex-Dodger owner Frank McCourt still has the parking. And the parking rates keep going up. So you spent the same amount or more that you did last year for a 3-hour game, 3.5 hours, 4 if you're lucky. And now it's going to be over. And in LA, imagine that. The game starts at 7, over by 9. Instead of getting there in the 5th inning, you get there in the 8th inning. And that's not the Dodgers' fault. That's not baseball's fault. But on a weeknight, you're going to see, I think, lower crowds.
Oh, yeah.
And then those people are going to stop buying tickets. So you'll have your regular ticket buyers, the season ticket holders, and they're the ones that drive a lot of the secondary ticket market, because like I'm not going to make it to every game, so I'll put those on. People aren't going to go buy those, or they're not going to pay. Oh, it's behind the plate, but I'm not going to get there till the 7th inning anyway. I'm not going to spend $200 a ticket or $300 a ticket or whatever it turns out to be. And some of those tickets are that much just regularly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I didn't think about. It would be interesting to see attendance. Will attendance go down? Especially like you said on those weeknights, because in LA, especially traffic, and you could plan and say, okay, we got to leave by this time. Get on the freeway. There's an accident. There's backup, whatever. So it's almost like you have to take a day out from work, or you got to just plan the whole day. You got to leave 4 hours before, 5 hours before the game, camp out in the parking lot, because then you'll get your money's worth at the parking lot. But then it's probably not open.
No, not till like 3 hours before the game, or 2.5
Yeah.
hours before the game, or something like that, when parking opens. So yeah, you end up waiting a lot, and then you get in there, and then Clayton was kind of funny because he goes, I don't think they're gonna sell enough beer to keep us support the team.
Well, because the other problem is I know for me, I don't like going to the concession stand during the game. I want to watch the game. So I try to go before, get my stuff, and then I don't have to go while the action's happening. Now you can't go at all because you'll miss everything because of lines.
Well, yeah, unless you're there, if as long as they open 2 hours before, which is typical for like Dodger Stadium, Angel Stadium, 2 hours before, you get your concessions and head to your seat and don't move, you'll be able to see the game.
Yeah, because you can't go to the bathroom. Nothing.
No, you need to sit there. I guess it's like going to a movie.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to miss
anything, so you sit there the whole movie. Movies are going to be longer than baseball games now.
That's right. They will be. I don't know. I don't like where this is headed. I don't.
No, and that's the thing. It's like there's a lot of people have tweeted about this or said something. It's like it's all directed towards people who don't even care about baseball. And if they go to a game, they're not watching the game anyway. They weren't going to go home. They're not going, hey, it's on my TV. There's no blackout, and it's shorter. Oh, I'll sit and watch that. No, they weren't watching anyway.
Exactly. And one thing I've learned from the Book of Joe is there's a lot of people running clubs that have no business running clubs because they may like baseball, but they don't love it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's about owning any sports franchise, even if you do love it, isn't about the game. It's about their ego. Mm-hmm. Who's got the most money? Steve Cohn came in, he overpaid for the Mets. And then you're spending all this money like, hey, just money. Just turn the faucet on. I'll have more.
That's right.
I just go out in the backyard and prune my money tree, and there's more. And that's how, and those guys, but like Artie Moreno could have sold the Angels for almost $3 billion. That's more than what the Mets cost. And he decided not to. And that's on my list of things I'm not happy about.
Well, let's talk about one other thing that I didn't realize until you had sent me the link for the article, on-field challenges and replay.
Which on one side of it makes sense, because if you're speeding up the game, why not tweak those little things like how long that the coaches have, the manager has to, before it was kind of just, yeah, hold on, hold on a minute. And now, so giving them a specific amount of time. Problem is that how many times are they going to challenge something at the beginning of the season and then learn their lesson that they didn't have enough information? I'll tell you, that was bad. The Angels challenged stuff that it was clear. Not even without a replay. Without a replay, it was clear the guy was out or safe or whatever.
Right.
And they'd still challenge it. The Dodgers.
Yeah,
did the same thing. A lot of
notorious for that.
But it's like, if you don't have enough time to get a good camera angle and to really give a good opinion from the video room, then if we cut down the time, what's it, like 20 seconds to decide from the minute the play's over? You got to go out, put your hands up,
Yeah.
confess to a crime.
Yeah. Well, so basically, the managers have to hold up their hand immediately. So, like Alex Cora said, I always put my hand up. Even if I decide not to challenge, I still will raise my hand. So I think that's probably going to be a standard for most managers. And they had 10 seconds to raise their hand, which 10 seconds, okay. And then once the hand goes up, the umpire starts a 15-second replay clock.
Mhm.
And then the challenge has to be decided before the end of the 15 seconds. And like you said before, it was 20 seconds. And again, this all comes down to pace of play, making it faster.
So we don't care if it's accurate as long as it's fast.
That's it. And they're also going to, if you are watching games on MLB Network, Apple TV, which will be there again, but we'll see how that goes this season. Then you'll be able to see inside the control room, and they're employing somebody to be like, on the NFL, they have
like
the referee.
Dean Blandino from the NFL or
Yes.
the XFL now.
Right.
Yeah, right. You're going to have the
explaining, what this means.
The
and what's
umpire, commentator, or whatever.
Yeah.
Expert.
Exactly.
So anyway, all these things remain to be seen. Some of them we won't care about. One thing that's coming back that not happy about, thought it was gone, and just when you thought it was gone, it came back. What is it, like a bad penny or something like that is the deal? It just keeps coming back up. You thought you got rid of that smell or you got that stain out of your carpet, but no.
Still there.
The Ghost Runner is now permanent.
Permanent. I mean, what? I don't know.
Yeah. And with all these rules, people like, I know others said it, but like Phil Nevin. Oh yeah, no, this is great. After watching one of the World Baseball Classics, and don't get me wrong, I love the World Baseball Classic game. That was an exciting game, but I appreciate the shorter games. And I read where a journalist wrote about, those who cover the game, write about the game, will be happy that we're not 4-hour games. I'm like, why do you care? This is how you get paid.
Yeah, this is your living.
8 hours at my real job.
Yeah.
You go to a game, and then maybe you put 8 hours into it. Maybe you don't, but everybody else in the world works like that. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, and our office is not a ballpark. Most people,
right?
So right then, and why are you complaining?
So the rules will be there. It's not going to get any better. As long as Manfred continues to do this thing, the only things that he can do to get me off of his back is to find his way. And I know it's more difficult. He can't just, like some of these things, he can just say, okay, we're done. And other things he can't because of contracts and a lot. Some of these things, as far as like the blackouts are concerned and things like that, are connected to regional sports networks who control. The Angels have Bally Sports. Well, Bally Sports filed for bankruptcy, but they didn't include the Angels in it. So as far as the Angels are concerned, they're still going to get paid the rights for the TV rights from Bally. However it works, they're going to keep showing the games. At this point, Manfred's only hope is that they do go under, because then they can take control and they can insert things they want.
Well, and that would be his one thing that he can say, look what I did. I got rid of blackouts, or I, helped ease them or whatever, because everything that he has touched in MLB. It's just Manfreded up.
Yeah, completely. He is the opposite of Midas.
Exactly. No golden
He's like,
touch there.
who was it? Medusa saw you, looked at you, and you turned to stone.
Yes,
He's worse.
he is. It.
It
Yeah.
he turns to excrement. It just really, it's bad.
It's bad, and I think this season will be a what is it, the bellwether, right, of how things go. Will there be a revolt of fans?
And that was your dictionary moment here on Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
I had to throw that in.
Yes.
To be smart sometimes.
Yes. So you can be smart, and I get to be smart ass. So we're good.
Yeah.
All right. So the other thing that happened in the off season was, well, hot stove, and it felt like it started off pretty quick, and then it just kind of was like, I've had this before. Or, oh wait, what was gonna? Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing really exciting. There were those moments.
Yeah, there were the moments. It's like, you have the the gas stove and you're trying to light it and it's like lit and then it just goes out and you can't
and
get
you realize
it back.
There's no propane in the tank or whatever.
Yeah, what
you didn't get that your wood was wet and all you get is some smoke and then not even the.
Well, and the thing is that's kind of how it's been. We've been excited for the hot stove the last, seems like forever, the last few seasons, and we really just don't get anything. It's just not that exciting.
Everything was that as soon as things were being talked about where people were going to end up, they almost all ended up exactly where.
Yeah, right. There was no excitement. It was like, oh, this guy's going to go here, and then he changed his mind, or somebody made a better offer. Nothing.
Yeah, no. The Giants were on the verge of having 2 All-Stars and walked away with no All-Stars. They were very close from what reports were to getting Aaron Judge, but Aaron Judge decided to go be the captain, the new captain in the Yankees. And I didn't think he was going to go anywhere, but that would have been interesting to see if he'd have gone to the Giants.
Yeah, it would have been a total new dynamic, I think, for the NL West, something more, kind of exciting. And did not happen.
And then, there was a couple other things, but anybody that we thought might have the Dodgers might pursue the bigger names, they did not. Trey Turner, from the beginning, somebody said, Philly sounds like a good place for him to go, and Philly's where he went.
Yeah, exactly. And, you learn later, okay, his wife's from New Jersey, and maybe that was a factor. But it was always going to be an East Coast team.
And the spring training for the Phillies is in Florida, and
where he's
a
from,
Florida guy,
right.
And blah blah blah. Well, you know what? How many times well, he'd probably want to go there because, Judge, he's from the Bay Area.
Yeah,
he want to go home. No, he didn't want to go home. All these players. Garrett Cole's from Orange County. He'll be an Angel. And pitching now for the Yankees, Garrett Cole. It's that kind of that always seems to get overplayed. So all of these guys that I think, we had this big shortstop class. No excitement whatsoever in where the shortstops were going. We had an Odyssey, but no big deal. Actually, the only one I think that went somewhere that was slightly surprising. Well, there were 2. Dansby Swanson going to the Cubs.
Yeah, but even
kind of off.
It seemed off until you heard that his fiance or now wife plays soccer for the Chicago team.
Yeah, but he could have went somewhere else, and and that has a soccer team, and she could have went and played there.
That's true, but it seems very Dansby Swanson lived up to his name in a very predictable Victorian romance and went to Chicago.
Yes, he went and followed love, just as the Bronte sisters would want it.
Yeah, or Hallmark
Jane
Channel.
Eyre, or Hallmark Channel, or Lifetime, Lifetime would have been, he would have gone, saved her from a bad relationship, because they need a little more drama on Lifetime.
Right.
But
right.
him going there wasn't as, so the craziest one out of it, I think, was Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah, that one I think was the biggest surprise, that he would go to San Diego. Right now, we know Fernando Tatis Jr. is on suspension until April 20. I think he is eligible to come back. But before his whole, bad haircut, ringworm, all that good stuff that he had going on, they had talked about moving him into the outfield anyway. Well, now, where's he going to play? Probably going to be in the outfield. Jerickson Profar isn't a Padre anymore. And
he isn't in anything yet, is he?
I don't know. Let me see. But so that Xander Bogaerts, I think, definitely was, the biggest surprise out of all of the shortstops. And then you come to Carlos Correa.
Which, now there's where the odyssey is.
Yes.
So Carlos was like, yeah, I got a deal. I'm going to the Giants. We didn't know where he was going to go. I mean, he could have come to the Angels for all we knew. Maybe his sister talked him into, going to play with Ohtani for a season, and then hopefully more. But he ends up, he's going to sign a deal, and then all of a sudden, everybody's like, okay, so Correa's a Giant. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Nice job, Farhan, I guess. I don't know. And then all of a sudden there's an issue with his physical. And next thing we hear, Carlos is in Hawaii. And Scott Boras has made some kind of a deal with Steve Cohn. Or no, Steve Cohn was in Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's who was in Hawaii. And they make some kind of a deal, and he's a Met. And seems like, and you're kind of like, all right, why would he be a Met? Lindor's there. They seem overall pretty solid. Why would you do that? But okay, I get it. He wants to spend money. And then all of a sudden, it's not so cut and dry anymore. It's not a solid deal.
It is not. It comes back to that physical.
Right. And everybody wants to know. And then what's his name? I can't remember his name. He's Jim Bowden, I think it was, former GM. And every time he's talking about it, he'll go, well, we don't know exactly what it is due to HIPAA laws. That's all he always say. Due to HIPAA laws. We don't know exactly. They can't tell us. They can't expose his stuff because of HIPAA laws. Like every other word, HIPAA law. He ends up back with the Twins.
Yeah, and this is interesting. He goes from a 13-year, $350 million deal with the Giants to the Mets for a $350 million deal, ends up back with the Twins where he had the opt-out clause, took that opt-out clause, didn't work in his favor, signs for $200 million.
Right. He kind of just, and, he, in the past, he said a lot of wrong things. He said all the right things when he went back to Minnesota.
Yeah.
About being part of it. He knows them. It's like home, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
he said all the right PR things, make him feel good. And apparently he just bought himself a house on one of the lakes in Minnesota. So got the Juicy Lucy's and his new home.
It is the land of 10,000 lakes.
Yeah. So one of those lakes he's got a house on.
If you want to stalk him, it's going to take you a lot of research or a lot of just hit and miss on a lot of lakes.
Yeah.
That was like 9,000. Only 1,000 more lakes to go.
Jerickson Profar is a Rocky.
Oh, okay. I never heard that.
I hadn't
missed that
either. Well, he's a Rocky because
There you go. Breaking news right here.
we figured out where he went.
Jerickson Profar.
I think one of the things that I guess it surprised me, but didn't really surprise me because people said Jacob deGrom's going to go to the Rangers. And I was like, no, why would he go to the Rangers? And he went to the Rangers.
And by the end of the season, he may be asking himself,
what?
Or
maybe
the
not.
Rangers are going to be saying, why did we let Jacob deGrom come to the Rangers?
Exactly, because, he's already, he was, he already had started kind of having his issues again, little ache here, little ache there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And it took him a while before he even pitched a bullpen session.
Yeah.
Late into spring training. Of course, they did pick up, as far as like on paper, their pitching staff looks, pretty good.
Right.
But the rest of it doesn't.
No.
They have Simeon and Seager, but and Nathaniel Lowe had a decent season last season, but those two guys are going to have to carry everything. And the pitching staff, they added Andrew Haney off of, his last year. He had a great year. And then Nathan Eovaldi, who's had injury issues, but is there now. So they
also added Bruce Bochy. So
which that probably was the best ad that they had.
Exactly. I think, so Jacob deGrom leaves the Mets. Justin Verlander takes his place pretty much.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the thing. It was with the hot stove. It just was, you want more exciting things, and we were just
on simmer. Most of the year
time.
There wasn't anything big. I mean, we'll talk more about things that happened with the Dodgers when we get to the Dodgers segment. But overall, the big names that were out there, they went quickly and quietly.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, oh, okay, ho-hum. There was no excitement. And as much as, I know, would it have been cool, for the Judge to be a Giant, but it was all these little, he's visiting. He's there. Well, like you said, his family's from there. So anytime he's there, he's always going to be associated with signing with the Giants and I think it would be horrible.
Was within 75 miles of Pac Bell today of the Pacific Bell Ballpark.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know you feel bad. I don't feel bad for the Giants, but fans. But it had to suck to be a fan and be like, we're getting Judge, we're getting Correa, and they got
Ross Stripling. Oh,
yay! Yeah.
Anyway, so a lot of the things I think that we're going to see this year, a lot of these teams that they picked up, Will Trey being a Philly based on what they did last year, will that really make a difference for them? They didn't really change out a lot of players. The question will be Bryce Harper, what's happening with him and Tommy John surgery and things like that. So, there's going to be little things here and there. The Braves, what kind of changes did they make? The Marlins did trade away a couple pitchers like they said they would. Nobody got exponentially better, I don't think.
No, I think you're just trading one for another in a way. And for some of these teams, there really wasn't exciting.
I think a lot of people thought, and maybe the excitement for fans of certain teams, like the Dregs, the Padres made some decent moves.
Yeah.
And now they're being, they're going to be the Kings of the West. That's what the projections are. Not by a lot more, because people aren't holding out that the Dodgers are still the Dodgers.
Right.
They won a lot of games last year. Yes, there were some changes. Already they have some issues with some season altering injuries, and but they have some other rays of hope. So we'll talk about them in just a moment. But right now, why don't we see what's happening under the halo? All right, disclaimer here. While I was incredibly unhappy that Phil Nevin was signed for another year, I fully understood why. Do you know why?
Because he's a puppet?
That's some of it. But the bigger part is remember, when we last signed off, Artie was planning on selling the team.
That's true. That's right.
And there was no reason to go out, do a major search, get another. And honestly, and we'll talk probably more about that. We'll have to have a full-on book club review or book report of the Book of Joe. When you read about that, and having been watching baseball longer than Joe's been, managing and participating in it at a professional level, all the stuff that he talks about is stuff that I've seen happen and things that, it's noticeable. So it made no sense that if you're going to change out the ownership group, they would probably want to bring their own guy in.
Mm-hmm.
They may even want to bring their own GM in, and Perry might be on the way out after that. So there was no reason to necessarily drive him away. He's a placeholder, or was. We don't know what happens now. Honestly, if the Angels, with the moves that they made, can make it to the playoffs, he's going to be in there for longer because they made it to the playoffs, which is something that hasn't happened. But I don't think they're going to make it to the playoffs because of him. They're going to make it. If they make it to the playoffs, it's going to be because finally they did a couple of things right in off season. They stopped trying to address needs that didn't need to be addressed. Artie didn't spend money on a free agent that they didn't need, or overspend on a free agent that they didn't need. And they built depth. And the other thing is that they realized, let's not mess too much with the pitching staff, because it was beyond serviceable. It was a decent pitching staff last year.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of issues in the bullpen. And then, but they need, if they want a chance at keeping Shohei, they need to find their way into the World Series, or Mike Trout needs to convince Shohei what a great place it is, even if you don't win championships. But I have an issue that since Shohei was the MVP of his region and of the whole World Baseball Classic, I don't think he's going to win. They won the World Baseball Classic. He's going to want to go out there and see what he can get.
Oh, yeah. Which totally makes sense. I mean, you're in that position. Who wouldn't? I think for Angels fans, the biggest thing that could have happened, you could feel the excitement that Artie Moreno was going to sell the team. And then when he decided not to, what a huge letdown. I mean, like, you could hear all of the fans just like sigh and like, oh man, really?
Right.
It was just, because they got some guys. They got Tyler Anderson from the Dodgers, had a really good season with that. To me was like, what? He needed to stay a Dodger, but he's an Angel, just moved down the freeway. But for me, the selling of the team would have really made this season so much, like, it's because now I look at the Angels and I think, okay, you added some pieces, but is it going to be status quo?
I think a couple things. Obviously, we know they've had issues with injuries that haven't helped. Obviously, Anthony Rendon's been on the injured list since the beginning, almost. He hasn't had a really good season since 2019, and that may have been his last good season. Who knows? Jared Walsh, another one that had issues last year that, Mike Trout, when you look at his numbers, doesn't look like he had any issues, but he was out for a month plus and then came back and set the world on fire. So, there's a lot of pieces that could help, but a lot of people got to play up to an expectation. In adding players. So like you said, Tyler Anderson, that was the first move. And that was a great move because it solidified the starting rotation. Patrick Sandoval pitched really well, especially during the World Baseball Classic for Mexico. And he was kind of under the radar. Reed Detmers last year threw a no-hitter. Had some issues, came back, got sent down, came back, great. Now the questions are, on a lot of cases, is, and it looks like that Perry is actually making the right moves, because there were a lot of players that, while you're saying, I don't know if I really want them on this team, that were fringe, they would have lost them. They had no more options. They were out of options. So Tucker Davidson, in contention to be the sixth pitcher. I don't think Tucker Davidson has it in him. He had a great spring, but a lot of players have had great springs in the past and were a bust when they got to the major leagues. So he's probably going to end up as a sixth starter when 2 or 3 weeks in to the season they need to bring, because for the first couple of weeks they have early days off. Instead of playing 12 in a row, it works out better for them, and then they'll need that. But the probably the next big thing after Tyler Anderson was Gio Urshela, who is a great utility infielder. He'll probably play a lot of shortstop at start, because just don't know. David Fletcher is probably going to be on the bench. Rengifo maybe at second base, not sure. But there's these guys, that are, but the depth. Hunter Renfroe, who's been around a lot of places, was down in San Diego to start off. Looked like he was going to, set the world on fire, and then just never did. Injuries and stuff like that. But he's solid. Brandon Drury, who, while he was with the Yankees, worked with Phil Nevin when he was with the Yankees. Will that make a difference? Don't know. But there's depth. And then you got, like I said, Rengifo, Fletcher. There's a lot of depth in there. Urshela can play first base if Walsh is out, when Walsh is going to start the season on the injured list. Brandon Drury can play first. There's a lot of things. Matt Thaiss, who is now a catcher, and there's a lot of conversation because of some injuries that happened. Will they carry 3 catchers? But he can play first. He can play third. He can catch. Not a fan of Matt Thaiss, but that's a lot of options for somebody if you ever need it. But they were like, are we going to go with the best guys? Mickey Moniak blew everybody away, put himself ahead of Joe Adele easily. And maybe the best thing that happened for Joe Adele is everybody forgot he was there. He wasn't even considered to be, he was going to be a member of the starting, the opening day roster or in the outfield, because you have, Hunter Renfroe, Mike Trout, Taylor Ward, and Taylor Ward's setting major high expectations for himself. Brett Phillips, he can't hit, but he can. He's a great defensive player. And I saw somebody tweeted it, because we didn't get him for his bat. We got him so he could pitch.
That's right. That's exactly right. He's a good pitcher. See, that's the thing with the Angels, is they've got the utility. Play the outfield, come in and pitch, play first, play third, what these other guys, was short.
And so having some depth, that's the way it is. And then if those guys fall out or injuries, then you have Mickey Moniak and down there that you can bring up to fill in. You're not putting somebody down there that could be picked up because they're out of options. Like Matt Theis. You send him back down, he doesn't have to go there. He can be picked up off the waiver wire and you lose him for nothing.
Yeah.
So it's just better at the beginning to see what's going on. If all of a sudden there's nothing going on, that Brett Phillips, for instance, is just taking up a spot and not really playing that well, then you can get rid of him. But until then, let those guys play every day instead of being upset. And so some smart moves so far by the Halos, and the questions have been like, if you start, so pitching wise, the starting rotation, Shohei, obviously he's starting off today in Oakland. And then you're going to follow that up. You'll have Patrick Sandoval. You'll have Jose Suarez, obviously Tyler Anderson. So Shohei, Tyler, Patrick Sandoval, Jose Suarez, Reed Detmers, and then probably to start off Tucker Davidson because, like I said, he's out of options as well. So if you don't want to lose him right away, you use him. If he picks up and continues on is good. And then when he falls apart, either put him in the bullpen and see if he can do something there or see if you can trade him for something.
Yeah. I think the starting rotation for the Angels, for the most part, is pretty solid. But one of the issues that they've always had is their bullpen. And it seems, too, that is a reoccurring theme, not only for the Angels, but just across MLB.
Baseball, yeah. So you're going to see the one move that's good is Jaime Barria is back in the bullpen, and he is a traditional long reliever because he's been a starter. You don't see those guys as much anymore. You see them use, the starter goes 5, and then they use 4 relievers. Here, he can come in early and stay late.
Yeah.
And then, in the offseason, they picked up Carlo Estevez, who is presumably going to be the closer. We'll see. But Jimmy Herget's there, and Jimmy Herget ended last season like that. You still got Loop and Tepera, and Loop pitched in the WBC for the U.S. team. Those guys had good moments and a lot of bad moments.
Yeah.
So it's not solid. And that's going to be the thing, can the starters go late and carry the load more? And then hopefully they don't have to, the bullpen doesn't have to carry as much weight. And then as we talked about the infield, we've got a lot of different pieces that can play there. Hopefully when Jared Walsh is back, he can return to form. So second base, you can play, a bunch of people there. Brandon Drury, Luis Rengifo, David Fletcher. David Fletcher can play short. Ursula can play over there. And I think this is the biggest if Anthony Rendon can be solid and play, what he was hired to do, why he was signed, and stay healthy throughout that, I think that really pushes them over the edge to be less in the area of the Rangers and more in the area of the Mariners. Behind the plate, Max Stassi starts the year on the IL, so that probably means Matt Theis and Logan O'Hoppe. And I feel like Logan O'Hoppe probably should spend the season in AAA, and just so he can get the repetitions and all that, because eventually you're going to let Matt Theis go probably because he's just not going to be hitting. Or Stassi over the last couple of seasons has been injured, so
right.
You're going to end up setting him down. You want him there and ready and getting regular work to get the experience. And that's, they've got a lot of depth now, so that's good. They need to strengthen the bullpen still. And hopefully if they're in it at trade deadline time, they'll go get a couple pieces. If they need a stronger shortstop, they'll go out and get a premier shortstop. That'll be it. And, the question, I don't think, I don't think Nevin, unless he makes it, if the team falls apart, he's gone after this season. And unfortunately, I don't think they make it to the playoffs, because I think they're going to they got to compete with Houston and Seattle, and Seattle I think is going to take it. And the Rangers, it's going to be dependent upon how well their pitchers pitch, and can the all-stars that they have support them.
Yeah, I think in the AL West, it's definitely Houston and Seattle battling it out, I think, for that top spot. I think the Angels have a chance to battle with the Rangers to be, but it wouldn't be for the top spot. It would be, second place or, third. But the Rangers kind of are the wild card. They're like, because you just don't know how that rotation is going to be. And I still am not sold on Seager and Simeon.
No.
What they haven't. They're not the 1-2 punch I think that the Rangers were hoping for.
No. I think that the Angels and the Mariners are going to be a little more evenly matched as it goes. Mariners have some weak spots, so they're going to play closer to one another, but there's going to be that middle log jam, Mariners, Angels, Rangers. The only two people right now that I would say confidently that I believe are going to be in the places where the preseason polls are: Houston at 1, Oakland at 30.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, so they got all that. I'm looking forward to the season. I hope that they play well. I'm looking forward to a monster contract year from Shohei, and maybe another MVP award. I'd like to see Trout be up there. I'd like to see them all. I'd like to see Taylor Ward has, like said, he set it high, the bar high, that he wants to have. He wants to be in the conversation with the MVP candidates.
Well, I think it too, with Trout, he's had injuries over the last couple of seasons and just hasn't been at full strength. I think if he can come back this season, that's going to be a huge difference for the club. So that seems like common sense. You're like, yeah, Mike Trout having a good season, but we haven't seen it.
Well, if not, Trout's always got his golf course that he's building in New Jersey.
Exactly. He's
with
got something
Tiger
to
Woods.
fall back on.
He can go there. Trout National.
Yeah.
So Tiger Woods is designing it. Mike Trout's putting up the money.
Must be nice.
All right. So we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, the game's still got to be played. Doesn't matter where they are to start the season until you start playing the games. And just remember, next week we will start our Players of the Week. For each team.
Yeah. So today, opening day, they're playing the A's. It seems in Oakland, which seems like, don't they do that every year? It seems like that's that's the common thing. Then they're going to head to Seattle, and then they'll head home to have their home opener against the Blue Jays.
Yeah, another team that really is going to cause some problems in the East and probably be back into the playoff hunt and a possible World Series contender.
Yeah, those Blue Jays, I just think they're you kind of forget about them a little bit. They got, obviously, Vladdy Jr., you think about those guys, but they're kind of like the little dog, like the Chihuahua, and they're always nipping, they're just always right there, and they're just like, and then they get there, and people forget. I don't know if it's because they're in Canada. I don't know what the deal is.
Could be. But then they're also dealing with, the Yankees, who are...
they're overshadowed.
So we'll talk more about the rest of baseball when we get to around baseball. Right now, it's time to go up to 5 from Anaheim, see what's happening in the Ravine.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Yeah, a lot of new faces on the Dodgers. A lot of guys gone from the Dodgers. Some of our favorite faces. I think the biggest one for me is Justin Turner. It does not seem right. It doesn't sound right for me to say that he is a Red Sox. And
that's
like,
weird
what?
to see him in his Red Sox uniform.
And it doesn't compliment him.
And you know what? They tried to make it so he looked different when he got hit in the face with a ball during spring training.
Yeah.
And, so it's like, that can't be Justin Turner. Two things. He's wearing number 2.
Right. Which is what? Okay.
I did notice the other day, I was watching some that sign from behind, and he's starting to get his stain on the back of his
he's still doing
jersey.
that. Yes.
So,
his trademark, but it's just not, doesn't feel right. He's always been, for the last, how many years he's been the guy. And so I think for all Dodger fans, that was hard.
Right.
That was a hard one.
Yeah.
So
and he was like the leader there, and next to like Clayton Kershaw and Kinley until he left, was the longest tenured Dodger, at least the longest non-pitcher tenured Dodger, and some great playoff and World Series records that he set. And he's obviously one of the biggest ones. That was a surprise that he left. And they replaced him more or less. It was almost like a trade, because from Boston, we got JD Martinez, which has similar numbers. He's not going to play the field. He's going to be the DH all the time.
yeah.
But he's still got a good bat. We'll see what happens. I hate to see, I'd be fine with having JD and JT.
Yeah.
But both Turners left. We have no Turners left.
Yeah, no Turners anymore. With Trey Turner leaving, I think there was hope from Dodger Nation that he would stay, that he'd really want to. But then you go back and you look, he had like fabulous slides. He had good plays here and there. But I never felt as he was totally a buy-in with the Dodgers when you go back and, that he totally was a part of that team. I think he always had his eye on free agency. So,
yeah, I mean, and that on that side, I mean, who could blame him? But I would think, hey, if you like it here, stay here.
Right.
If you like the team, you can keep your team.
That's right. So he is dead to me. No. We'll see how he does in Philly, but I think another one, a lot of hearts were broken. Cody Bellinger, non-tendered. That was a big. I
also believe that Andrew Friedman and team thought that they could get him for less, and I think they underestimated Cody and the influence that Scott Boras has over all of his clients.
Oh yeah, he has a major influence. He was going to get 18 million, I think was what the going rate was. He signed with the Cubs for 17.5 for 1 year. We'll see, will new places, new faces, different weather,
new bases,
will it help him? I don't know. He even changed his phone number. So, it's
he changed his phone number, to a Chicago number?
Well, I don't know but yeah, I mean, I had read
I thought you meant his uniform number.
He did change his uniform number. I think he was 35 with the Dodgers. I think he's like 24 with the Cubs, something like that. But Dave Roberts had said that he wanted to reach out to him, see how he's doing. And number was no good. New number.
Wow.
Who this?
You got a new number. Funny. Well, and speaking of numbers, we'll talk as we talk about the Dodgers here. Obviously, we know there were some guys that left to different places. Those are probably the three biggest that had impacts in some form. The Turners were the top two. And then, of course, Cody, former MVP. Who's taking his spot this year is somebody else who's changing a number. And that's rookie James Outman.
Yeah, who had a really good spring. We saw him play the end of the season. Was impressed with him then. So, yeah, I think we could see some really good things out of him.
And he had been wearing number 77, wore it all through spring training. But, I would think you've had so much luck with that.
Keep it.
Stay with it. But no, he's going to another number that is also a repeating number.
33.
Yes. So he's going to be.
I think he likes repeating numbers.
Maybe.
That was his favorite segment on Sesame Street.
And then, and that was just a couple of years ago that he was really watching Sesame Street. And another thing, and a lot of things happen with the Dodgers. So let's just, before we get too much, we know Trace Thompson was like out of everything. Once Cody left, everybody started thinking Trace is probably he's got the lead going into the clubhouse kind of thing. Mm-hmm. He's gonna, he's probably gonna be the guy. But James Outman completely outplayed Trace. But let's go back now. So we got to there. Let's take a real quick look. Let's just go to the right for a second. And as we look out into the field, and the guys who are still there, they're going to have to pick it up and become the faces and leaders of the team. Because now that JT's gone, Mookie really, I think, becomes the guy. And co-guy, Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, I think the two of them, we already know that they have that brother relationship with one another. I think this season will be really interesting with Freddie Freeman because he had such a hard season. There's a lot of emotion. He went to Atlanta. And now though he is a Dodger. Not that he wasn't last year, but now it's 100%. I'm a Dodger, and so he really could, along with Mookie, make that difference in the clubhouse, the leadership role.
The guy that I was hoping that's still there that could have got to a spot to take that kind of leadership role just never will. And I'm not even sure how much longer he's going to be a Dodger unless something changes the season. And that's across the diamond from Freddie in Max Muncy.
Yeah, Max, as much as I love Funky Muncy, he's really lost the luster, the excitement that we've seen. And he just doesn't seem to be the same guy, the same player. And there's something holding him back. I don't know what it is, but there's something.
And then you really need, I think Will Smith has to also step up into a leadership role now, more so than ever.
Yeah, and he's going to be the one that's going to be quiet, though. He's not very demonstrative. So, will he be the quiet leader? More of a, people, they're watching him. What does he do? How does he, do that?
Right.
Then his words.
And then that's fine. But when you have like Clayton Kershaw, who is, any game could be his last game because of injury. This could be his last season in baseball. We don't know. It's a year by year, season by season proposition, and even a game by game proposition with him. Pitching wise, opening day pitcher today, Julio Urias.
Yeah.
Really has to carry that, but I see Julio as being strong among the pitchers, but I'm not sure he's a strong leader on the team. And not because he can't be, he just doesn't seem like he is.
Yeah, and that just may be his personality.
Right.
I don't, what I'd love to see is instead of, Albert, Tio, Albert being in Anaheim, being a, what do you
Special
call him?
assistant to
Special
whatever.
assistant to whatever, him coming back to Dodger Stadium and being the clubhouse, because he really could build those relationships, especially with the Spanish speaking players. You saw him doing that. And I'd rather see him be special assistant to, whatever.
Right.
But
to do that, that would be better. But they got to him first, I guess. So he maintained that. He maintained that. So that would be great. So now who is it that now we got to go? So we got to look at shortstop. Obviously, a big upheaval there, or maybe not. Obviously, if you haven't been paying attention, in a spring training game, Gavin Lux, awkwardly running between second and third base, decided tearing his ACL wasn't enough. He tore the LCL as well. So on both sides of his knee, tore up, he's out for the season. So much for us seeing if he could be the everyday shortstop.
Yeah, being given the runway, all these seasons, and saying, hearing, from front office, hearing from Dave Roberts, give him the runway. He's gonna be, he's gonna do it. And I think I was kind of resigned, like, all right, he's gonna be shortstop, but let's see what he can do. And then he, injures his knee. Really, I mean, to the point, that he's out for the season. So, which is, you feel bad for him. I mean, he was this could have been, it could have been a really good year for him, or it could have been really bad. Obviously, it turned out really bad. But thinking before the injury, I was really hoping this could be the breakout season of the guy who was, the number one guy, right? Prospect in baseball. And now we won't know.
Not this season, and probably not next.
No, it's going to be a while.
And if he ever truly does, he become more of a journeyman bench player now, because that happens a lot.
Yeah.
You get that kind of an injury and you just never really fully recover. And it's not like he had set the world on fire before. That's my theme apparently this week, is set the world on fire. And I'm wondering, is that because is there something going on with me that I just want to set the world on fire, or what's going on? So that aside, that sounds like a whole different podcast.
Yeah.
Personal issues with Jeff.
How to set the world on fire. So
now we're going to see Miguel Rojas, who was picked up more as a backup, as a utility player, is moving into the starter, everyday starter role at short, it seems. Probably a little platooning with Chris Taylor. Thinking.
Yeah,
Chris Taylor,
I think so.
Left field.
Yeah, I think you'll see him left field, and then shortstop. He's been more hasn't played in the infield that often. Occasionally maybe second base. So we'll see. But it looks like Rojas is going to be the main guy.
And then talking about second base, apparently everybody in the world knew who was going to play second base every day for the Dodgers, except the guy that was tapped to play second base, because I guess everybody else just assumed he knew. But Miguel Vargas didn't know. And so he went and he asked right at the beginning of the Freeway series, "Hey, Dave, hey, Doc, what's my status? Am I going back down to AAA?" Or he goes, "Oh, I thought you knew. You're the everyday second baseman. Congratulations. Oh, by the way."
Yeah. I And maybe that's a good attitude to have, right? You just don't know where you're going to play, don't know where you're going to be, so you're always on your toes.
I think it says a lot about him too, that he didn't just assume that was the case.
That's true.
He's
Yeah.
like, you guys didn't tell me, I don't know.
Right. And we did see him play at the end of the season. Really impressed with him. He's fun to watch. So I think it'll be a good fit. I think also you'll see Mookie occasionally playing second as he's done.
Right. So who else do we have? Your utility players. So the outfield looks like, Mookie, Outman, and CT3.
Yep.
Max at third, Rojas at short, Vargas at second, Freddie Freeman at first, obviously. We went through, we haven't talked about the starters. We know Will Smith and Cuz will be behind the plate. And then they'll split their time however they want to do it. One of them, then you got JD Martinez, who will be primarily the DH unless for some reason they decide to set him down. It won't be like last year when that was just like, let's just rotate through. Today, JT's going to be the guy, and then Will Smith's going to be because Austin's catching and blah blah blah. So you've got Julio, who's our opening day starter today, and then Clayton Kershaw, the Wizard, will be in there for one more time, at least one more season.
Yeah.
Dustin May won his spot.
Yeah, I think you're going to have
Who's number 4?
So, well, it's Julio, it's Urias, and then May, because May is starting second game, and then Kershaw.
Right.
And then Noah Syndergaard. We didn't even
We
mention
didn't talk
Thor.
about Thor was there. That's how far Thor has fallen. But it would be nice to see him, be more than just an innings eater.
Yeah.
You want him to be at least that.
Yeah, and I think for him coming to the Dodgers, where we saw this with Tyler Anderson, we saw this with Andrew Haney, is working with the pitching coach Pryor. Yeah, Mark Pryor, and to get back where he's been. It's spring training, he was in the 90s, throwing up in the 90s. I don't know, does that mean anything? I don't know. It's really his execution.
We'll see if it teaches him how to pitch better.
Right. And I think that was probably one of the biggest reasons for him coming to LA.
Tyler Anderson rediscovered his changeup last season, made all the difference. Thor was never a changeup guy, but if he can learn how to pitch smarter, and that's what a lot of times that's what's happened, then he's going to be fine. And I'd like to see him see success there.
Yeah, me too.
And then Ryan Pepio was able to grab the 5th spot, somewhat because your fave, the Catman, has injured his ankle and will be out.
He tripped over a cat. No, I don't know that he did that, but
he got bit on an ankle by one of his cats, and
I sprained his ankle. Not obviously where he wanted to be. He ended the year with he has shoulder issues, I think, or arm, shoulder arm issues, and really looked good. Was an all-star for the first time. And then after the all-star break, he just fell apart.
During the all-star game and beyond.
Yeah.
It just if he'd come back and pitched well, it would have been a big deal. But because it seemed to start there.
Yeah.
And I think some of it is he's never pitched that much.
Yeah, I think, and that's another thing. I mean, we'll have to get into this and, with our book report when we do that episode. And we've talked about this multiple times, how pitchers, when we were growing up, pitchers pitched 9 innings, for the most part.
A lot of complete games.
Yeah, I mean, you had guys with 20 complete games in a season. And now you it's like, ooh, there was a complete game. Who won? It's like, that's not exciting. I want to see the complete games. But they're not allowing those pitchers to see that full potential. But then you have guys like Gonsolin who, it's like they have to work up to it. Well, how many seasons does that take until you get where you're really good? Well, that could be never.
They don't know how to pitch out of jams in most cases. I would say this, that Gonsolin and May both have pitched out of jams before, and they've let them do that. Whether that was Dave Roberts, whether it was okayed from above to give them that opportunity, but the minor leaguers aren't pitching that much like that. They're not seeing, Nolan Ryan threw 200 pitches in a game.
Right.
And it was an extra inning game, but he threw them and he was fine. What's the meme or the post that's going around? After pitching over 5,000 innings, or something like that, it was like Nolan Ryan had to hurt his elbow and had to leave. Oh, and it's like, you think about it, a lot of these guys, some of them be lucky to see 500 innings.
Right.
The way that they pitch. I
think it's the management of the pitching staff, and then you have these injuries of like the sprained ankle, and we'll see more when we get to the Will of IL. There's a lot of starting pitchers on there. So
and we're just moments away from that.
Yes.
Here on the 100th episode and the season 4 premiere of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
We did not mention for the Dodgers, Jason Hayward.
Right. We really need to bring him up.
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy that the Cubs publicly said, we're letting you go. I mean, he's still being paid by the Cubs, but you're out. You're gone. And now he is a Dodger. And then also David Peralta, who played for the Diamondbacks, is also a Dodger. So those guys both will fit in the outfield somewhere.
And give them some depth. And that's always been a big thing for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Has been the depth. Now, I would like to say, based on their past success, that the Dodgers still are in a good spot to get back to the playoffs. The one thing that I feel has to happen is that the way they play during the season, like last year, that helped them get to 111 wins, is the way that they have to play in the postseason.
I would rather see the Dodgers win a decent amount of games. Doesn't have to be, the most 111, 100, because we've seen those teams. And where did they get to? They only got so far, and that was it. I'd rather see the Dodgers play, 90, 95 game, 90, get into the playoffs, but they don't have to be the top guys. Because I think that could be that's a different view for them. And it could be a spark.
I also think that when you win that many games like they did last year, you get tired.
Well, and you saw that in the series against San Diego. There was no fight.
I think, too, like I said, has to happen is the front office, Friedman and his staff, need to stay out of the way. Whatever they provide during the regular season is what they provide during the playoffs. Because every year we see it. Dave Roberts, and he's fairly predictable with his movements. We've always known that he takes the input that he gets, and he's not alone in this. It's across the board in baseball. We'll see what happens in Texas. Bochy isn't necessarily that kind of guy either.
Yeah, but how will it work for him? I think he retired because of the analytics, well, and now he's back. So we'll see.
So he's going to do, but that's the thing. They get where they want tighter reins. And we've talked about this. but you'll see decisions that were made, sometimes questionable, sometimes not, sometimes good moves, or letting somebody play during the season. And just to revisit this briefly, and it's become even more after reading this book, I'm more solidified in my feeling that the worst move Dave made last year was pulling Clayton Kershaw from that near perfect game. Don't get in the way of greatness. He didn't let the greatness happen. What was the movie Speed? This is the perfect thing that I always think about in certain situations. Dennis Hopper's line to Keanu Reeves was, you don't get it. You don't see it. You stop the bomb from becoming. It didn't reach its full potential. I mean, obviously we know why he didn't, but that thought process is, if you inhibit something, you stop it, it can't happen. Let the greatness happen. Let him. He may never get another chance at that. And in the big picture, they didn't win anything anyway. If it all came down to that one moment that Clayton Kershaw couldn't pitch 6 months later because of that one moment, okay, that was a dumb move. I shouldn't have done it. But we don't know that that was going to happen. And we don't know that Clayton Kershaw couldn't have taken that moment and said, I'm going to be the World Series MVP this year. And it became so much. Had he let the bomb become. That's where I am. And that's kind of what my feeling was then. They don't happen enough. You know, a player on it's like what they say, player on a streak, got to respect the streak. Doesn't matter if it's just in your head. If you think because I wore the same socks every day, I'm going to get a hit or we're going to win a game. I wore the same socks every day in 2002. And the Angels won the World Series. Is that why? Of course it is.
I think it gets back to letting the players play, let things play out however they play out. And, at the time I was like, yeah, that's right. Because as a Dodger fan, it's like, I don't want anything to happen to Clayton Kershaw. But as a Dodger fan, it's also, we're not going to see Clayton Kershaw very much longer. It is a year-to-year thing. Every season, will he or won't he? You just don't know.
Right.
So, yeah, we need, you look at these new rules, look at the changes, and they had that slogan, let the kids play, but they don't let the kids play. They don't let them play.
No, and they're not let play now with the new rules and all that.
Nope.
So once again, Dodgers, if you go by the professionals, prognosticators, they're probably looking at second in the West behind the Dregs, who did get better.
Yeah.
On paper anyway. Can they get out of their own way? We'll see. We'll see what the impact Tatis has coming back as well. But the Dodgers, when you're just looking at them from the emotional standpoint of these guys, I loved them, they're gone. These guys, have we been okay without Kenley Jansen? Yeah, we have been. Guys have stepped up. One guy too, because we didn't talk about the bullpen.
That's true.
But one guy that I was kind of surprised because he had so many other good times, but then was down with injuries a lot. Victor Gonzalez.
Sent down. And he had surgery last season and then just never, we saw him at the end of the season. Just not the same guy, not the same that you saw in 2020. And yeah, he's lost some things. Of course, Craig Kimbrell, nobody is upset about letting him go. He's in Philly with Trey. One that I was not happy about and thought they really should have kept him was Chris Martin. I thought Chris Martin really was a good piece to have in the bullpen.
It's going out on tour.
Yeah, he had to go out. And yeah, I don't know. I wish I think that was not a smart move not to keep him,
And another key piece to the bullpen that's left, but was picked up by the White Sox, I just heard, Hanser Alberto.
Oh, yeah. So that'll be a good addition for their bullpen.
Right. And so the question is who'll be the closer? Is Evan Phillips going to finally get his opportunity? Who else is in the Dodger bullpen?
Alex Vesia, who has, really Yancy Almonte looked good. I think the one that we'll see Andre Jackson, who saw up and down but did earn a spot, and he's been good. So you got Vesia,
and he's going to be a guy that you can do like with Jaime Barria. He could be a long reliever because he'd been a starter before.
Exactly. Yeah. Blake Trinan, who should have had shoulder surgery way before he did, isn't going to be back until maybe September. So you can't even count on him. So really we're looking, I think Evan Phillips is probably going to slot into that role, maybe Alex Vesia. But I would say probably Evan Phillips. He's really had a good year last year.
What I would like to see is that you go by what you need in the moment. If you need if you're in a high pressure situation and Evan Phillips is the guy that is your best option, put him in then. It's the 5th inning or the 9th inning. Don't save him for the end. Use him when you need him. Stop what's going on before.
Well, as I say, I think that's how they should run the bullpens instead of, well, I thought this was a good matchup, or, they're pitchers. They should be able to pitch, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, right? To the batters. And so saying, well, he's our closer, so that's the only thing he does. Well, then you're missing opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. So Dodgers, what do they got on tap? They starting out today at home.
At home versus the Diamondbacks, and then they will play the Rockies. So they get to stay at home for their home opener, which makes total sense because it's their home opener.
Wow, nothing gets past you.
No. So I said, sometimes I like to be smart.
All right, we charged up the bullpen cart. We got it ready so we can take another ride around one of our favorite segments here, Around Baseball. Here on the 100th episode of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Like we said, you can find us on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And maybe, depending on how things go, you might also be able to find us at some point during the season, not only on YouTube, because we're going to try to do some video podcasts and put those out there. And maybe we're going to come up with our own TikTok challenge, like taking a burrito wrapper from Jack in the Box and wrapping it around a Tide Pod and then eating. Actually, we're going to force some stupid teenager, because all teenagers are stupid. I don't care what you say.
It's true.
Yeah, you have firsthand knowledge. Then and make them do it instead because they think that's really cool. Or we'll put a bucket over their head and then bang on it with a baseball bat. Getting a little mean here, aren't I? Let's take a look around baseball. All right, so college baseball has started and going on. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go on, and then of course we'll talk minors. We'll talk college ball, and check in and see what's happening with the Disco Turkeys when they finally start their season. Also, we know that the Bananas the Savannah Bananas are going to go out and actually do a world tour because they're no longer doing the College Wood Bat League. They're
Yeah.
out there trying to become the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. They will be coming through Southern California. Whether I go see them or not, I don't know. Not sure.
And I kind of
They're
soured
novelty.
on them.
Yeah, they're a novelty act. They're not what baseball should be. They're fun stuff, and maybe there's elements of what they do that could be fun, and some rules and stuff that they could do. But like we talked about, when I was a kid watching baseball, games were 2.5 hours then, and none of these stupid rules that we have now were in play.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons I've soured on the Bananas is because I feel like they are influencing headquarters, in New York. I think there's an influence that they are having on Manfred, on Theo, and I just
there's such a small sample size of what baseball fans are and what they like. Yeah, you know what? We want to be entertained. So yeah, we're happy to go there. The reason that some people have found baseball not to be entertaining anymore is because we took out a lot of the fun things. Is that guy going to steal?
Well, and another
hits and
thing,
runs, sacrifice bunts, stealing home, all those kind of things. We all like the long ball. Don't get me wrong, but Earl Weaver used to play for the 3-run home run, not a solo shot.
Yeah, and another thing, love. This is one of my favorite guys in baseball, Tommy Lasorda. Who doesn't love to see Tommy Lasorda come charging out of that dugout, kick dirt onto the umpire, motivational buzzwords? You don't see that anymore because you got the replay. You raise your hand. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, over here.
You don't even, you know what? I think if I was a manager, I'd become Horseshack from Welcome Back, Kotter. If you don't know that, it was a sitcom in the 70s. And, they had the Sweat Hogs. John Travolta got his start there. But Horseshack was like the kind of annoying guy that they kind of just let be part of the Sweat Hogs. And whenever he'd raise his hand, oh, Mr. Cotta, and that's what I'd be over there like that. Earl Weaver from the Baltimore Orioles was another guy like Lasorda that came out, turn his hat around and argue with the ump, stuff like that, kick dirt on the plate or on the ump for all that matters.
I mean, there's a lot of things that are being lost. And when I think about, the Bananas, obviously you can't say, oh, it's their fault. But there's the Harlem Globetrotters. The NBA didn't mold themselves to the Harlem Globetrotters. They were, it's like they were entertainment, and that's what the Bananas are. These, rules and faster games. We need this and we need that. It sours everything.
Yeah, it gives people the wrong impression. And Manfred and company take those kind of things, whether it comes directly from that or from their own thoughts or what they see, their field research or everything, and they don't find a way to play up the positives. And we've harped on this too. His march against baseball continues on. Mm-hmm. And instead of, calling out all the great things about baseball, he tears it down constantly.
Yeah, I think for a lot of fans too, seeing the World Baseball Classic, it really was like, oh, this is, like baseball I remember, right? To a certain extent, but
yeah.
None of these rules. It was still exciting. Japan versus the US in the final game, and Japan wins for the third time in tournament history.
If you look at them though, Japan played that game, all their games, like it was the last game.
Yeah.
They went out there and they competed every single game. And, Shohei let it be known in that last game. Now, a lot of Angels fans misinterpreted what he said. in the final speech of, I love the Angels, I'll never leave the Angels, and you guys should come play with the Angels with me. That's what people heard. But what he said was actually a good thing for even the major leaguers to consider. Basically, today, don't idolize these guys. Yes, they're great. We emulate them. These are the best of the best. And it's easy for him to say that because he is one of them. A lot of those guys haven't got here yet.
Right.
One of the pitchers I know is going to be with the Mets? And everybody was like questioning, why would they spend that much money on somebody? They don't know. Well, he may not be a great pitcher here, but he was great when he pitched in the WBC for his home country. But these players need to go out there every day and not say, oh man, we're playing these guys. They should say, we're playing baseball, and give it everything that they have. Because these guys didn't end up in the pros because they were just serviceable. You know, they just ended up in the pros because they were good enough to earn a spot. And every game should be competitive. Even for the teams that aren't high payroll teams, don't seem to care. They should be out there playing hard every single game. I want to see the Orioles this year build upon what happened last year. You know, there's no reason why any of these teams shouldn't have a better record. Obviously, everybody can't win 100 games in a season, but there just needs to be more. And that's what Manfred needs to be pushing. Not let me give you 1,000 ticky-tack little rules so that the game's much faster. You know, one thing just to tell you, one thing that Joe Madden said, all I want you to do is compete. And I don't know how many times I've seen teams go out and play and not compete.
I think a good one would be the Dodgers in the series against the Padres in the division series.
The playoffs, yeah.
Yeah, there was no competitiveness there. Thinking around baseball, let's look at uniforms. We got the City Connect uniforms. We got more coming out.
Braves start with that one? Are they the first ones up?
The Braves are the first ones up. April 8th is when they will debut those. Those are a throwback. There's not really.
Yeah, for the most part, they are.
Yeah.
I know they said that there was, and I didn't really look at it too close, but there was like a salute to Henry Aaron.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's little touches, but it's, it's familiar. You've seen it. And then you'll have the Texas Rangers, April 21st, the Mariners on the 5th of May, the Reds on May 19th, the Orioles May 26th, and then the Pirates will debut theirs on the June 27th. I haven't seen, the only ones that I've seen so far are the Braves. So
right, because they're just, not that far away. The Rangers will show up a little bit later. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see those teams. The potential for great jerseys is there. Will they be?
Right. Especially I'm thinking the Pirates could have something cool, but will they? I don't know.
Maybe something about the Three Rivers.
Yeah, could see. The Rangers could have a grill on theirs.
They could have, or just like the grill with the like hamburgers and hot dogs or something on it.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
That could be. They're probably gonna do something more like the Texas Rangers, like maybe an Old West theme or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they could have they could have fringe.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, do kind of the chaps.
That'd be crazy. Yeah, so it'll be fun to see those City Connect jerseys. You talk about players that are just serviceable, but this is a guy, he did play for a lot of different teams, but he spent the first 9 years with the Giants, and he was a Dodger at one point. That's Sergio Romo. I think he has retired. He's gone. He signed a contract with the Giants.
Surprised.
Yeah, not surprising. But I bring him up because he was on the Giants teams for the 3 2010, 2012, 2014 World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Big part of Giants, the fans, but he's just a cool guy, right? He just, in his style, when he played for the Dodgers, I really liked him. But I had to mention, he did retire after 15 years. He did pitch 1 inning for the Giants against the A's on Monday, and violated the pitch clock. I think had some walks, gave up a single. So he didn't last very long, but he was able to go out in front of the Giants fans. So
Yeah. He's sad to see him go, but because he was a good personality for the game. But hopefully he gets to do something fun, and
yeah, I think he's playing golf and is probably looking forward to playing at Trout's golf course.
Trout National.
That's
opening in 2025 for all you golfers out there, near Millville, New Jersey.
Ooh.
I still see some teams that are just going to be out there on the fringe. The regulars are going to be there. I think that when you look at playoffs, probably the same 6 National League teams are most likely to make it to the playoffs. Pretty close with the American League. So, as far as that
I think
goes,
I wanted to say, looking at the American League Central, the Central Division, you didn't really see a lot of movement there, and that's going to be, once again, like ho hum, because you didn't really see a lot of movement with the teams on either in the AL or the NL. So
yeah, slightly over 500, you're making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's about it.
I don't see a lot of that. Now, I do see that maybe the Cubs are in a good position to improve.
Yeah.
And not so much, because they've made some good changes. They started making them last season. Towards the end, made some, kept some guys, traded off some other guys. I think they're going to have that opportunity in the Central. We'll see. I want to see the bottom feeders play a little bit better. And just a little more competitiveness, as it comes to that. I want to see the same, I want to see the Yankees and the Red Sox battling it out, being mad at each other. I want to see the Rays, secretly get in there. The Rays, we'll talk about in a couple minutes here on the wheel, because they announced all the starting pitchers for today. And I didn't even catch who the Rays, because the guy that I thought was going to be the starting, the opening day pitcher is not.
Yeah, he isn't. And it's one of our favorite injuries.
Yes, it is.
So one of the ones I was looking at, some sports writers, our favorite, like Bob Nightingale, but some other guys.
Oh,
and I thought it's interesting. It's interesting. We already talked about, NL West looks like the Padres will probably be, or they're predicted. But it's interesting because all 3 of these guys are like, that, right, like guys that I haven't heard of, but they're other sports writers, and they are choosing for the NL wild cards, the Dodgers, the Phillies, and the Mets. And then for AL wild cards, the Yankees. So I'm
all
like,
right, because who's winning the East, the AL East?
The Blue Jays.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but yeah.
But then but for the AL Central, it's the same. The Guardians, and the NL Central, the Cardinals. It's just boring.
Right. Well, because those are the guys that consistently are playing the best baseball.
Right. It's ho hum. But but I mean, I think it could be a good thing for, at least for the Dodgers, to be in one of those spots.
I don't doubt that. I just think that I don't think that their problem has always been that they just can't play in the postseason. I think there's just front office interference. and they want to be, and you see this with a lot of teams. They have a decent year, but when you get to the playoffs, they change tactics or they overload with all this extra information. And we've been talking about this for every season of this podcast.
Yeah, it's too much. I mean, there are a lot of decisions. We talk about Dave Roberts a lot because I think there are things that you think, would he have done that? Or because he was told to do that? Or was it a gut decision? Because he played the game, he was a player. He knew this was the right time to run or whatever the situation is. Or is it all, here is your script, and if A happens, then
the
go.
flow chart. Yeah,
exactly.
I think there's a lot of that, more than we want to admit.
Yeah.
I think that he's made some choices on his own, and the problem is he makes one bad choice, they come down on him, he's gun shy. He doesn't want to do it again because he doesn't like that feeling. And he doesn't want his job to be in jeopardy if that's the case. And so, that's been the way, since all of this over analytics. I mean, there's always been some form of analytics in baseball. One of the things as a kid, you read the back of the baseball cards. I could tell you at one time in my life, I could tell you the starting lineup of every team in baseball and probably everybody's batting average. On Sundays, open the paper and they'd have all of the batting averages, and the league leaders and stuff. And you would just be glued, or I was glued to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a different game. I feel, especially this season, because of the rules, because of things, what is it going to be like around baseball? Are we going to see the same, players, in their roles? Planet Head always says, oh, it's scripted. They know who's going to win the World Series before the season starts.
Sometimes it feels that way.
Right, exactly. So we'll see, what's going to happen with everything that's going on. That's it makes me a little sad though, because I feel like there's part of the game is slipping, it's just not the same. Game that I, fell in love with and continue to love, but it's just, I mean, there's too many, cooks in the kitchen, right? There's too many people stirring the pot, and we need to just let it play out.
And instead of just let it be a free form flowing thing, things happening organically, you have Manfred wanting to be the dictator of it all. Obviously at the direction of the owners, and like on anything, bottom line is money for the owners. And anything that they can do, if they could find a way for people to come watch robots play baseball so they didn't have to play the robots, they would do it.
Yeah.
If they knew people would come.
Yeah. I think it will be interesting to see as we get into this season, as you mentioned, attendance, because that is huge, obviously, for owners. If attendance goes down, how much pushback will there be to get rid of things? It's gonna be I'm excited. It's opening day. Love baseball, but I think this is going to be an interesting season.
Yeah, for sure. For some guys, it's already interesting because they're not going to be able to play for a while. It's time for us to take a spin on the wheel of IL, and the sky keeps on turning. Don't know what I'll break tomorrow. Oh, the wheel of IL keeps on spinning. I don't have any more yet. It's a work in progress.
All right. Well, it sounded good. Yeah, the Wheel of IL is full. We're going to start in Boston. We got James Paxton. He's out until mid-April with a hamstring injury. Kyle Hendricks out until early May with a shoulder injury. Speaking of our Japanese players, Seiya Suzuki is out until mid-April with an oblique injury.
Oblique, masa, I, my side. Hey, we're still playing the greatest hits
Yep.
here on KSRBB.
Joey Votto is on the list with shoulder injury. He did have shoulder surgery in the offseason. He's still working his way back to full strength. Brendan Rodgers of the Rockies is out for the season. He also had a shoulder injury that required surgery. And, for the Rockies, they're another team that you just, you forget about. There's like, were they 29th? Above the A's on that list to see where they end up.
Right.
In Houston, you got Michael Brantley. He's out until late April with a shoulder injury. Jose Altuve broke his little thumb during the WBC. He'll be out until late May, unless he gets stepped on, on the base. And then Lance McCullers Jr., he has a forearm injury. He's going to be out until late April. Jared Walsh, looking at the Angels, he has been suffering from headaches and insomnia. So he's kind of an indefinite. They're not sure when he'll be back. Hopefully sooner than later. Max Stassi, talked about him. He's dealing with a hip injury. That is I think it's an old injury. He's always had hip issues. Talked about Tony Gonsolin. He's out until late April with a sprained ankle. Edwin Diaz, no trumpets, Citi Field this year. He suffered a full tear of the patellar tendon during the WBC, and he is out for the season. I think that's a blow for the Mets. Who's going to be their closer?
Yeah.
And they can't play the trumpets, unless they play sad trumpets.
Playing taps.
Yeah, be bad. Also, Jose Quintana is out until July with a rib injury. And then we'll go to the Bronx. We got Luis Cervino, who's out until early April with a back injury.
That's always he always starts the season on the
IL.
Or
yeah.
at some point he's on the IL. That's his normal spot.
Yeah, he's like, let's see, when do I want to start this? So he's starting it out early. Tommy Conley, who was a Dodger, signed with the Yankees, out with a bicep injury, won't be back until late April. Came back with the Dodgers late in the season, didn't look too bad, but had the same kind of thing, had issues with the bicep. So I don't know if this is just a reoccurring nagging injury. Harrison Bader is also starting the year off on the IL with an oblique injury. Carlos
Oblique, masa,
Carlos Rodon is out with a forearm injury and is expected to be back in late April. And then a big piece for the Yankees, Frankie Montas. He's out indefinitely with a shoulder injury.
A big piece?
It was a big piece. That. Well, according to, the Yankees, he was going to be, he was going to be part of that rotation and be a big piece.
Okay. Yeah, he was a big piece, all right, last season.
Well, we'll see. I mean, maybe they thought they could turn him around, but anyway, we'll head down to Philly. Bryce Hoskins is out for the season with a knee injury. And then, of course, Bryce Harper is out until July. He had that Tommy John surgery. So we'll see. Will he be back in July? That's the prediction, but I don't know. Going to San Diego, Ranger Suarez is out indefinitely with an arm injury. Joe Musgrove is on the injured list until mid-April with an injured toe. Drew Pomerantz is out indefinitely with a forearm injury. You've seen a lot of these forearm injuries with these pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
Giants, Mitch Haniger is out with an oblique injury.
Oh, oblique. Oblique.
Adam-
Oblique.
And then
Oh.
we got Adam Wainwright is out until mid-April with a groin injury. Jake Odorizzi's out indefinitely with an arm injury. And I saved this one. Tyler Glasnow, who had no business taking batting practice, but did, is out with an oblique injury.
Oblique. Oblique, oh my side. Oh, I'm stopping taking batting practice. I'm not a two-way player.
Yeah, and I was like, why did they let him do that? But yeah, so that is the will. We'll see. It is pretty full. I don't know that there's any room. So who will we add? Hopefully not many, because it'll fall off its axis and roll away.
Yeah, it's gonna go out. It'd be like a balloon, when it's blown up and you let it go, and it's gonna head out to outer space.
There's just no room.
It's gonna collapse as it is. And hopefully there's not a lot of injuries to start the season off. And if there are, they're just like short-term, day-to-day guys that don't really end up on the wheel. That's it. I don't know what else we can do. I think we made it through episode 100. And excited that we're going to be able to continue this on. Next week, we will have more. We'll start talking more about the games that are being played, kind of seeing how this first week shapes up. Are there changes already being made? Did somebody stand out, at least in the first week? There's always something that comes in the first week. Or there's always a team that you're sure is going to have, 100-loss team that starts out of the gate really fast, and then they win all of their games in the first 2 weeks, and then they lose the rest of the season, kind of. So we're going to have some of that. Might start seeing some players that are going to really change the scenery of MLB, and hopefully the Angels and the Dodgers start off strong and start off right and find their way at a good pace.
Yeah, I think the good pace is important for both of these teams. Another thing, how many stolen bases will there be? Will there be more? I hope so, because the bigger bases, right? Something's got to happen, but maybe not.
I don't know. I don't think that that's going to have as much of an impact because the guys who never ran before aren't going to start.
True. You might see the same guys. I think the guys who normally steal bases will continue to steal. And I think it'll take a little bit for them to realize what happens, what that extra is in a game. They know what it is in practice and spring training. But once they're in a game and see what the actual impact of it is, that's going to make a difference. Well, it is exciting to be back on opening day for our 100th episode. It's going to be a great season, going to be an interesting season, and we are going to be here for all of it.
That's right. Every week, same time, same place. Find us on your favorite listening platforms. We drop every Thursday at 1:10 p.m. Pacific time. So just adjust that to wherever you're at. And just remember, this podcast, we're not experts. We're not all about, we get into the numbers, but we're not going to break it down about, spin rates and stuff like that, unless it seems kind of funny or it's got something to it. We may talk about it. If
you can make up a song to it.
Right. I'm all about that. But we can, we just love the game. The other day, somebody posted a question on Twitter, and the question was, what player caused you to fall in love with the game? And I said, none of them. I fell in love with this game by playing this game. That's what I love about it. I can't play anymore like that, not that I could ever, but I like watching the game, and there's players I like, obviously, but it's the game. If I watch, I don't like Gavin Lux, but if he played a good shortstop, I would be fine watching him play it. You know, there's players I'm not fans of, but the way they play, I want to see that. I can't stand Manny Machado, but Manny Machado has proven what kind of a third baseman and what kind of a player he is. He's fun to watch the game most of the time.
I think
if
it's the
keep my angry part about him down.
It's the appreciation of the game that we have, and that we love, and it really is in our DNA. So that's why we want to share it with you. But yeah, not experts, just love the game.
And everything we say is pretty much just our opinion, as misguided as it can be sometimes. So join us next week
for more misguided opinions.
Exactly. Next week, we will check in with you about the first week of the new season, get you some players of the week, and update the wheel. So you have a great week. Once again, we appreciate you being here with us. Remember, find us on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And then check out our website, which isn't really updated with anything yet. We haven't even put up our walk-up songs yet, because I haven't figured out what my walk-up song is yet for the season.
Me either.
Maybe I did send you one or two.
I think you sent me two. So
yeah,
we're getting
go with
there.
The first one.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, so we're getting there. So we'll have our new walk-up songs up there. Plus, you can hit the Fanatics link and get gear from any of your favorite teams. You can also find World Baseball Classic gear in there as well from your favorite country. You can be like, Shohei wore the Czechoslovakian cap, and those caps sold out like an hour later once somebody saw him wearing them. But you can get jerseys and hats and all that stuff, everything you need to support your team. And just do it through our website and the Fanatics link on siblingrivalrybb.com. So until next week, don't forget to swing away.
The Bellwether